It's an absolute pleasure for me to finally meet Joy Fay. She's an artist, very well-known personality in our local community, and I've seen and admired her artwork for a long time. In fact, I was in the Bodyworks Health Clinic when it was in Estepona, and I was like, oh my God, that's a Joy Fay.
Oh my goodness.
The signature.
Oh, thank you, Nicole. It's lovely to see you too.
It's amazing how you really do have a style, Joy. Congratulations. I love your artwork.
Well, that's very kind of you. Thank you very much.
So really, as with many people during lockdown, I'm actually getting to know them. You and I have coincided on many an occasion, and
Yeah.
I really know nothing about you except you are an artist and an international resident. So I'd love to be a bit nosy and ask you a little bit more like the basic. Where are you from?
Okay, well, originally I'm from Cheshire, which is just near Manchester in the UK. And I lived there for quite a long time, and then I went off to school and college in London, and I studied actually dance and art, but dance was my primary career for quite some time. And I always loved art. My sister went to art college, and I was always very jealous of her because that's what I really wanted to do. But my mother had insisted that I was a dancer, so I did that for many, many years. And when I was, I think, 32, I enrolled myself and I went to Manchester Art College. So better late than never.
But obviously you had that natural artistic talent. What can one get by then going to an art college? What do they teach you that you didn't already have?
Frankly, not a lot. It was just the experience of being amongst other people who, loved art, and it was quite amazing for me because obviously I was a mature student. So in those days it wasn't so normal. Now mature students are kind of every day, but in those days it was, a bit of a novelty. And the students always used to come to me with all their problems with their relationships and this and that and the other. And I had a brilliant time. What did I learn? Well, I think it just gave me an extra confidence and, the ability to experiment and do different things, which we could do when the facilities were there. And I just felt great about it for, just to be able to be there. So it was a really good experience.
After you finished college, did you then manage to follow a career with your art? I know you're painting now, but can you live off that?
That's the question. No, it was a shame because actually I had to cut the college short, and I didn't complete the 3 years because sadly in the middle of all this I had quite a few challenges with my marriage and subsequently divorced. So I actually didn't get to finish my degree, which was a great shame. But anyway, then I had the opportunity to travel, which was fantastic. So I traveled all over the world. I then lived in Hong Kong for nearly 2 years. But it gave me sort of lots of new dimensions with my painting because obviously, traveling, you see art in so many different cultures. Then when I returned, I was doing some exhibitions and things like that. But it was never, I never at that time was able to be ditto professional enough to earn my living just from painting. Then I actually got involved with a business with jewellery, of all things. And at the time, I was living in London and I was selling my paintings on Bayswater Road. I don't know if you've ever been to London on a Sunday down Bayswater Road. There's lots and lots of artists, and it was great fun. And I used to sell now and then, but I was asked to join a friend of mine who was involved with jewelry. And I don't know, you might remember a company called Cabochon. It was a designer costume jewelry company which was just starting. And really, I had a goal in mind that I would earn enough money from that to become a full-time artist, which subsequently I did, which was amazing. And then I moved to Spain in 2000, year 2000, November. And I was then basically painting full-time, and I set up an art school in my house, and used to have lots of students, and it was fantastic, lots of exhibitions. I think maybe, I'm not sure whether I met you at that time, but anyway, it was a long time ago now. And then the recession hit in 2008, and everything kind of went pear-shaped, I think, for me and a lot of people. So I had to do some other things for a period of time. Fast forward, I moved to Mijas 4 years ago, and I was working at the Mijas Art Centre for a little while, running that and doing my classes and having exhibitions, and that was great. And then it was too much teaching, really. So then I moved home and ran my classes here at home, and was really doing a lot more artwork and selling more and doing commissions, which I've continued to do, but then Corona happened. So I've again had to think out of the box, which brings me to what I've literally just launched last week, is a kids class course online, because whilst in lockdown I thought, okay, what can I do? And my neighbours have 2 children, and they said, why don't you do something for the kids? So that's how it all started, which brings me to today. So now I've just launched a fun and creative art course for kids online.
An absolutely commendable incentive. Tell us more. Who's it for? Who can join in and how?
It's really based for primary school age, 4 to 11 years old. And it's in different modules. What I've done with it, and I've experimented with Sarah's children, my neighbour, who've given me the thumbs up, which is great. It comes in sort of sections. So I do 6 videos, 6 lessons in a section, and those are sent out each month for a small membership fee. So the first few lessons are free, so the children can try it, and then if they like it, they can continue, and they get then 6 lessons each month for €10 a month. So it's very affordable. It's great fun. It's very creative. You know, my feeling about teaching, and I've had this sort of philosophy really throughout all my teaching career, both with adults and children, that if you speak to most adults, I'll go best there for a second, majority of them would say they can't draw. And that's kind of like a block. So how I imagine it, how I see it is, if you were to think about skill sets, that's on the left side of the brain. The creative side is the right side of the brain. So when I was actually teaching and learning myself, I'm actually dyslexic. So it was very difficult for me linearly on the left side of my brain to get drawing. I found that a real challenge until I came across a wonderful teacher called Betty Edwards, who'd written a book called Drawing on the Right Side of Your Brain. And it shows you how to swap from this thinking mode to creative mode. So when you come into it from the creative side, you abandon all the skill. But it's amazing what happens, because we're naturally, you know, as children, we just naturally draw and paint. It's no big deal. We don't have judgment on it. So once we start creating from that side, we then slowly can bring the skill side in. So using that with the children, obviously they come from this right side, very creative, uninhibited, non-judgmental, and then I capitalize on that and then slowly bring in the skill. So in what it does, it doesn't kind of box them in with having to learn something. They come into it naturally, creatively, and find the skill just sort of arrives, if you like. And for me, that worked amazingly well with my drawing. I can draw because I've learned how to come at it from a different perspective. As soon as I go into that linear, I go all haywire, like my writing would do, because of this the dyslexia. So it's very kind of interesting how it's come about and how I teach. So with the adults, suddenly they find they can draw. The kids, they can draw, and then I can help them introduce the skill to that, but creatively. I'm sorry, that's a bit long-winded, isn't it? But I hope it explains it.
Absolutely fascinating. I also collaborate a lot with children with learning problems and identify with that myself. And one thing I have very clear, we all have a different perception, even if we're looking at the same thing. So
absolutely,
that freedom for everybody to find their way to express themselves and have that encouragement through art, I think is absolutely fabulous. So the course that you've just launched, it's open, I suppose, to any child within, as you say, 4 to 11 years old. All they have to do is go online, subscribe, and give it a go.
Absolutely, yeah. And you know, they can just try it first. There's 3 really great lessons. It's about, the first few lessons are about creative drawing and looking at shapes and how we involve that. And then starting again from what I've been saying, the creative side, and then introducing some skill to it. So it combines the 2. And then I do some things with some animals, some cats and dogs, and then some funny people, how they can easily draw funny people and get some great results. And then I start on making a folder to put their paintings in, because when I've actually been teaching children in the flesh, everything goes everywhere. They don't know where they put their paintings. So I thought, okay, well, let's do a painting with what we've done in the lessons and turn that into a folder to keep their paintings in. So that's in all the first section. And then the second section goes into mindfulness, which now is sort of quite a buzzword in the schools. They're introducing a lot of mindfulness attitudes into everything, but also for the children, it helps them focus and feel more connected. It's very calming, both for the children and actually for adults. It's wonderful for stress and anxiety. We do things like mandalas and Zen tangles and interesting things like that, based on the theme mindfulness in the second section. And then we go on to do animals and landscapes and seascapes. So it sort of develops. It's creative and then there's some skill. Creative, then there's some skill.
It sounds,
but they can try it.
I want to join up myself.
Yes. Well, actually, I was showing it to somebody the other day and they say, well, do exactly the same thing for the adults. Oh, okay. Now I've mastered how the program works, which I've made the course on, which has been a very steep learning curve, but I've got there eventually. I could do any different kinds of courses. So yes, the intention is to do an adult one as well.
Well, I look forward to that. Joy, it's been a pleasure chatting with you and having an opportunity to get to know you just that little bit better. And best of luck and congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
On this new
can I give you the website address for the course?
Go ahead.
Okay, it's the Joy of Faye, F for Freddie, AHEY, artschool.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
if you go if you go onto that, then it clicks through and you get to your free lessons, which is great. And Nicole, thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to the English International College for letting me know what you were up to.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you to Sarah Lucas. She's been a star.
God bless.
Okay, thanks. Bye.